hopefully tonight I'm going to see Guardians of the Galaxy, which, came out on Thursday. It is now Sunday. I've been wanting to see it for 4 days, but I don't want to go by myself because I want somebody to talk about it with. I had been previously super excited about this movie. Some of the new trailers for it have raised some doubts for me, and, I read the comic we got on Free Comic Book Day, with Guardians of the Galaxy and Wreck-It Raccoon, and, I also have read of them in Miss Marvel, which, Captain Marvel, the little mini-series where she goes into space and does stuff and teams up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I really enjoyed it. I have not been reading Guardians of the Galaxy. It is not something that I follow, so what I'm going to be judging the movie on is kind of what a little I've seen from the comics, how it matches the tone, and how I think of it as a movie. One thing I'm worried about is that it's going to be just like Star Trek, the Marvel version, complete with a blonde actor named Chris in the lead starring role with, Uhura. I mean, Zoe Saldana, who played Uhura in Star Trek, being the love interest and playing Gamora. I hope that she's considered a, main character, and I'm also, not excited about the idea of Star-Lord and Gamora having a sexual tension, love interesty type thing. That's not what I was hoping for, and I was really disappointed to see that in the trailers. I do understand that Hollywood movies, you kind of always have to have some sort of romance thing going, but it's just not something I was hoping for, especially not for those two. When I read them in this, I definitely saw it as more of a family, like, co-worker type relationship between the whole thing. The relationship dynamic did not come across to me as romantic. It could be also because I misread it a little bit in the beginning and got confused between the names because they're both royalty, so I'm like, oh, they're siblings, so maybe that's just me, maybe I just, de-romanticize everything, but, from what little I've seen of it, it didn't seem like they were a thing, and I hope it doesn't become a thing in the movie, but I know it is, and I'm going to be sad about that. How I think of how this movie comes across, I hope that all of my worries are unsubstantiated and it's going to be a great movie. But this movie is really going to set the tone for how I think of future Marvel movies. I've been previously worried about their future because I feel like they went off to a great start, and, they could be really just changing things up, but it seems a lot like they're kind of staying the status quo and fitting the Hollywood mold. And I'm, what I've seen of what they're going to do to the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, I'm less excited about. That's not, I don't know, I care about those characters, but that's not what I'm talking about in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'll be back after I watch the movie, and hopefully I'll have some real opinions on it, and wonder if, I'll say whether I was right about my assumptions about it or not. Hopefully I'm not. So I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was great. I really did love it. Groot as my favorite, Rocket Raccoon, and I think his name is Rex, were great. It wasn't Star Trek, the Marvel version. I was happy to see that. It was kind of what I wish Star Trek was a little bit. I loved how dorky the Star-Lord was. That was pretty great. And, I was worried that it was going to be, very, shoehorned in, a romance story. And it wasn't. It was just, a little bit there. But, I can interpret as, just, a little bit of a thing and not an actual thing. A thing that will, I don't know, be resolved, and instead they're just friends. It was very touching. I cried, a lot. So there's a lot of great things about it. And then there's some things that I was less excited about, like the fact that all of the aliens were white people, painted colors. And I wish, as great as Zoe Saldana was, I really wish that they had chosen a bulkier actress for Gamora, because she's really like a warrior type, like strong princess, like bulky kind of thing. I was expecting her to have the build of like Sif and stuff like that, and I'm kind of tired about how everything has the main super skinny female girl being all ninja-y, and for some reason she didn't use any guns. They really, really lacked representation of people of color. Um, like, there was like one black guy, and he worked for Ronan, the Bat dude, and it was just kind of, I mean, besides Zoe Saldana, who I believe looks pretty white, she's a popular actress, and she's painted green, so, really not a whole lot of great progress, which is frustrating. They did a great origin story. I liked the tone. It was a mix of like silly and serious, which was really good. They did it well. The music soundtrack was great. Groot was great. He was just like such a sweetheart. They had some great, like really beautiful moments of him. He's just like such a gentle, sweet soul, and it was just so touching. Like scenes with him and his friendship with Rocket, it's just like really, really cute. I love how they kind of like all relate to each other, how they don't work together well, and they kind of like, I don't know, become friends, become a family. Like I just thought they did that really well. It wasn't forced. It was, it was realistic. It wasn't like automatically they together, or it wasn't like, oh, we're working together, but we still dislike each other. It was very much like we're awkward as a group, and now we, accept that we're a group and we're going to be a thing. I don't know how well they stuck with their origin roots. Like that was interesting. I don't understand why the Kree are blue. Pretty sure the Kree aren't blue. Also, I was a little bit disappointed by the end scene. I almost always love the scene that's after the credits. And I was just kind of like, eh. I loved that in Rocket Raccoon's design. They kind of just explained his origin really fast. And in the CGI, they kind of show, like, where the cybernetics are in his skin. Like, there's scarring and there's metal sticking out of him a little bit. And I really like that, it just really gave the character, like, history and substance in just a glimpse of something that, would have taken a long time to explain. There's a scene where he's drunk and he's just ranting about how everybody's laughing at him. It was really touching, sad story. All the characters have their sad stories, and I thought that was really cute. I liked that none of these characters were normal. They all had their own problems in different ways. And about how part of the problem is that, like, life is shitty for everyone. Yes, their lives are particularly shitty, but, like, that doesn't give them an excuse to be shitty. And that's actually, like, something that I live by. And that was cool to see. Scenes that were really great were, in one of the opening scenes, you see Chris, the Star-Lord. I don't remember his name. And, he's got his headphones on, and he's wearing this mask thing, very comic booky, and it's like in the ruins in this wasteland. He's just like dancing to himself in this thing, and I really loved that. I just feel like that was such a great scene. It kind of showed him as this like lonely, goofy, misfit type guy. And then they ruin it with the scene after, some girl popping up, and he's like, oh, to be honest, I forgot you were there. And I'm just like, are you really gonna do this? Are you really gonna do this? Okay, so he's got a reputation of being a womanizer, and I'm just like, ugh, it's fake Captain Kirk from the new Star Trek all over again, and that made me upset, but I'm glad they, like, brought it up maybe once or twice before, but they didn't make it a thing, and, girls weren't sexualized too much. It's not like we had any naked women. I don't really understand Zoe Saldana's clothing in the opening outfit that she has. Like, it's like a lot of cleavage and her arms are bare, which doesn't make any sense to me if she's an assassin. Like, her shirt is just like really low cut. It goes like this, and then there's like some strappy things there. I don't really understand that. Karen Gillan's outfit, costume, character design was really cool. I love the cyborg part about it. I love that she's blue. I love the black eyes. Like, she did a really good job. It was really cool to see her like that. It's hard for me to separate her a little bit from Amy Pond, but she was very much a different character. It was cool to see her act something else. Zoe Saldana, of course, did a good job, as much as I wish that we had a actress that really was more warrior type and less ninja-y. She did a great job in the role she was cast. She worked really well with her, like the cast worked really well together. And I really liked her, like, ombre red hair type things. I also loved how the whole team seems to be matching outfits. Like, whenever they change outfits, they're all in the same color and the same type of thing, which makes sense kind of in the thing, but it's still funny to me that they end up having matching outfits. It's just pretty funny and adorable. Except for Groot, who, as we know, is my favorite. He's just such a, I don't know. God, it's just such a good, really good characters. I really loved all of the secondary characters. And I really like that they all got, like, words and they got a storyline. And, it was just, like, they really developed the worlds, they developed the thing, they created an origin, so it's, like, setting up for the next thing. It's kind of like how they got started, which was cool. It was a really, really good movie. I don't know how else to say except for that, like, I loved Groot. Oh my god. I also loved Rocket Raccoon. Rex was really interesting. I loved how dorky Star-Lord was. And I loved how kind of stiff and awkward Gamora is. Like, she's not, like, she's very much like, I have been trained to be a killer. I don't know what normal life is like. Oh, and he makes all these references to, like, Earth culture because, he grew up there when he was really little, and then he's been in space for, like, since he was picked up when he was really young. And so he references Footloose, and she tries to reference it back at him, and he, like, makes it sound, he, like, very loosely bases on the story, being like, oh, it's an Earth legend, and she tries to, like, say it back to him, being like, we're like Footloose, and it's just, that's, like, funny, it was pretty funny. They've got a lot of funny things. The end scene after the credits was just Howard the Duck, and I was just kind of like, I was really hoping for more. I don't know what to say. My biggest worries were not completely unsubstantiated, but not as bad as I was expecting. It was a good movie. The movie had good pacing. It had, like, it seemed a little bit all over the place, but not really. Ronan's whole Kree, like, extremist outcast duty guy has this very underworld feeling type lair. I don't know if you guys remember Underworld. But it really seemed like that to me. I don't actually understand if he's, like, is he an original character? Like, what is he from? I don't remember. Actually, I'm looking forward to the next movie that had this great lead up to it. I feel like this is definitely, like, a very, like, good prequel movie for Guardians of the Galaxy. They introduced the Nova-verse as well, so I feel like we're going to get a Nova movie. We've got, the Infinity Gems, so people will know the Infinity Gauntlet's going to happen. We've got Thanos. This movie was a lot of good setup for other movies, and it was a good movie in itself. It shows a lot of good potential in that whole area that hasn't been explored yet of spacey things, that we've been sort of leading up to in the previous movies. But you really, like, get into it now, and there's this whole thing out there, and they did some really great world building, and they managed to sum it up without having too much exposition, but where we still got the